Thank you for those very kind remarks. I appreciate that. It's always nice to be at Kiwanis. It's a privilege to be here. And as that old saying goes, if you invite me back within 30 days, I could use 2 attendants at Kiwanis to make up for I was going to get you all in a jovial mood by telling a joke about Alan Wilson. And darn it, Alan Wilson doesn't show up. But if you want to hear a good story about Alan Wilson, you could invite me back. We're excited about our project. It's the Vera home. About a year ago this spring, our church learned that there needed to be a foster home built in northwest Oklahoma, or the western half of Oklahoma. In fact, they wanted to build 5 homes. And they looked at Woodward, and they looked at Clinton, and they looked at Enid, and they looked at Alva, and maybe a couple other communities. And Mr. Gatson brought himself to Alva. We had dinner at Pastor Carroll's house, and he decided that Alva, Oklahoma is where he wanted to build the first foster home. So on January 28th of this year, 2018, we had our groundbreaking. And we had the all-stars of the Methodist Church, I think the way Kirk Washburn put it. We had the bishop here, Bishop Nunn. We had the head of the foundation, Bill Junk. And Batson came back and visited us again. We broke ground, and we're going to show you some pictures. We broke ground, and we had a luncheon that had between 70 and 80 people that were excited about this project. The things I would like to share with you is about the nice things, the acts that have been done in Alva, Oklahoma to encourage us to complete this project. And then Amber's going to tell you a little bit about what some other acts that we might need to complete it. And we're going to show you some film or some pictures. But when we started this project, it might have been one of your Kiwanian members gave us the land to be able to build not 1 foster home, but 2 foster homes. It was Mr. Buckles. Billy and Bill Buckles gave us the land so we could build a home. We'd love for you to go by and look at it. Our preachers told us you can't drive in there, maybe somebody will get hurt. And it's made the whole congregation upset, but we'll make an exception for the Kiwanis. But come by and look at it.
Where's it located?
It's located, I don't know the exact address, but if you go to Noble Street and you go south, and it's the very last house on the west side.
1421 Noble Street, I believe.
So that's the first thing that really encouraged our group. In fact, we had 2 or 3 people that offered to give land, and we had to narrow it down to 2. And then we narrowed it down to 1, and we made the other fella mad because we didn't take his land. But we have an excellent location, a beautiful site, and we're excited about the progress we've made. As soon as we got the land, we called the county commissioner. We said, hey, we've got 200 feet that there's no pavement. Would you help us out? Mr. Hamill, the county commissioner for District 3, whatever that district is, not only rocked that 200 feet, he rocked more than a quarter of a mile. He put our culvert in. He said, if you don't like this rock, we will asphalt it sometime in the future. We appreciated that. We got ready to do the dirt work. We needed 70 loads of dirt. Bob Baker stepped up and said, I'll give the dirt to you. A $4,000 gift given to the Circle of Care of the Methodist Church. No charge. It just went on and on. We went to the city council and said, we need to be good stewards of our money. Would you be willing to waive the fees for building this home? Would you be willing to provide us with a dumpster to put things in? And at the council meeting, it was unanimous. We will waive all fees, and we'll have a dumpster there whenever you ask us, and we'll keep it empty whenever you ask. It went on and on. I went to the county clerk and I said, we've got to put stamps on here because Shelley Reed, I said, because it's a deed There's no exception. She says, I'll call the state of Oklahoma Tax Commission. And she talked to the head guy and said, we'll waive putting the stamps on the deed. So we saved $300 or $400 there. OG&E, they came out and said, we're gonna have to put a pole in. And Heath Eisenbart is our contractor. He'd been schooled a little bit. We said, we don't want any poles. We want everything underground. Some guy came out and said, no, that's too expensive. A guy came over from Enid, looked at it, and he said, you know, we probably can drill underneath that road and put a box there for a house or houses, and you will not have to have a pole. And he said, by the way, have you hired the foster parents for this house? And I think he said, I don't think we have, but I'm not sure. And he said, my wife and I would like to apply if you don't have to be a Methodist. So, he's a possibility as a foster parent. Another thing that I'm really pleased with is that a family offered to put with our foundation $100,000 so that home needs something in the future. That money will be there to take care of any special need. And that'll be there for forever, and the interest will only be used. So those are some of the good things that has happened to us. Probably missed some of those. I probably would be remiss, but I've probably got 3 or 4 more, but we've really been encouraged by the way the community, our church, and individuals have stepped up and helped us on this project. Amber's going to show you some pictures, and
What kind of cost is involved?
I'm glad you asked. This project will be approximately 3,000 square foot house, and the cost will be approximately $300,000 for the structure itself, and then we'll have some cost for the furnishings of the house after we complete it. Amber?
So this is just the site with the initial ground. This was us at the groundbreaking ceremony. Starting to lay the footprint. And we've put walls up, and I haven't been by, but I've heard there's a roof on it now. So it's moving right along.
There's the roof.
There's the roof. I hadn't looked at the pictures first. It'll have a brick exterior when we're done. But that is the first home. Eventually, if the need and the funding allows, we're going to put a second home right next to it. It'll be an opposite footprint of the current one.
And for the pictures, Jim Ritchie helped us and Lynn Martin helped us, so we appreciate that.
Yep.
A couple of people that are supporting us today. Raquel Rosine, she's with the Circle of Care, and the young lady that's doing her internship is Sierra.
Yes.
And we're pleased that they came here to support us because we weren't sure how the Kiwanis Club would receive us.
Well, at least receive you.
Good thing you brought some kettle with you.
That's okay. So there's been lots of rumors going around about what this house is actually going to be. It was rumored that it was going to be a group home, that it was going to be for juvenile delinquents. It is going to be a single-family dwelling foster home. The same children that are in foster homes across our county already will be in this home. The goal is to have sibling groups, so it'll be open for as many as 6 children, and Circle of Care will be managing that, and they will be real picky about what children are placed in the homes. It can be 2 separate sibling groups, so 2 sibling groups of 3, or a sibling group of 4, and a single sibling group of 2, but it will be for siblings to make sure that that sibling connection is maintained. That is a huge problem across the state. We are removing these children from their homes, from their communities, from their churches, from their schools, and a lot of times, especially as the sibling group grows, they're removed from siblings. I can tell you, of the 18 children that I have in our Northwest Family Services homes here locally, we've got 6 sibling groups, and one of those sibling groups is still split because it's just too large. So the need is definitely there. It will be prioritized to local children. So Woods County first, and then it'll grow out from there. And I've got a map of the DHS regions that you guys can pass around. We are in Region 1, which is the yellow. It's a huge area. But then there's a smaller box here that is our district, our judicial district, and that will be primarily where our kids will come from, is that judicial district. If there's a need and we have the space, we may go out a little further. So right now in Region 1, that yellow area, there are 1,603 children in out-of-home care. So that's just that our yellow region of the district. In that region, we have 60% of the children are not with siblings, so they're separated from their sibling group if they have siblings. So we have a long ways to go in our area. And then, let's see here, hold on. No, let me say that again. 60% of our kids are not kept local. So we've got kids that are going from our community out because there's not enough homes in our community. So 60% are out of our local community. And then we have 37 sibling sets, 124 children that are separated from our region. So that was one of the big questions from Circle of Care is, do we have the need here in Alva to have that? And it's a definite yes. So one of the things that we try to prioritize when we're taking kids is keeping homes available for our local kids. But if there's a sibling set that needs it and I can fulfill that need, I'm going to help that sibling set out. Circle of Care home is going to be more able to wait for that sibling group that's right here. So we're hoping that we can keep our local kids local and we won't have to send ours out. If we have extra space eventually, which we hope to do, Raquel and I are working hard at making that our problem, we'll help out neighboring communities and stuff. But this home is going to be really dedicated to our local children. There are kids, foster care kids in every grade in our Alva school system. So our children are already in school with the children that we're going to be bringing in to these homes. So, you know, yes, foster kids have been through a traumatic experience. Typically more than one just being removed from their parents. But yes, they've been abused or neglected, or there's something within their home environment that makes it unsafe for them to be there. But we've also learned a lot, and we have wraparound services now that are supporting these kids between counseling and support for the foster parents and respite care and all kinds of stuff to help them be able to be successful and act like any of our children do in our schools and in our communities. So we're not going to be bringing in kids that are any different from the ones we already have. So let's see here. So needs. The next big phase is our home is just getting done, is we've got to find a family to put in there. So Raquel will be our contact for this specific home under Circle of Care. We're looking for hopefully, a 2-adult family. They can have children of their own, but the more children they have, you can only have 6 children in the home. So if they already start with 4, that reduces that. So while it's nice to have children and have that experience of raising children, just gives you a little extra bonus there. We want to reduce the number of siblings that the biological parents already have. Probably to 2 would be preferable. But they've got to be able to pass, they've got to be over 21. They need to be able to pass state and federal background checks. They have to have sufficient income to meet their family unit's needs. This home, the family for this specific home will be compensated more than most homes. Circle of Care through the legacy is able to provide some additional incentives for this family so that at least one of the parents, if they choose to, could stay home and not have to work. So that's going to be a really big benefit for this one. And then, as always, we need foster homes outside of parents for just this home. And Raquel and I are going to be working together quite a bit in the near future, really getting that word out more to our local community and kind of bouncing off this amazing project and creating more homes. So, if you guys have questions?
Can I make a comment
Yes,
about that?
definitely.
So we are going to start, we really want Alva to know about how to become a foster parent if you want to, and why we need more foster parents, and why it's awesome to be a foster parent. So if you guys have any other groups that you're a part of, or your churches, or your small groups, Bible studies, things like that, we would love to come talk to you just about foster care, just about that ministry in particular. So I have business cards and flyers. If you have any questions about foster care or have anywhere that we could speak about that, please just let us know.
I don't know much about foster care, but these kids that are fostered somewhere, and they go to a family, are they with that family as long as that family wants them to be, or are they allowed to get pulled out and sent back to their original home? Or
So the purpose of foster care is to provide a safe, stable place for the children to be until they
but I don't know how long
yeah,
it's usually.
until they can be reunited with their biological family, or it's deemed by the court that the biological family's rights are being terminated and then they're up for adoption. That depends on the case, the severity of the abuse or neglect or whatever was going on that removed them. We've had some situations where the kids have just been out of home for a month, and there's others that it's 5 years. They will remain in that foster family as long as it continues to be a good fit for the child and the foster family. If either side says this really isn't working, then we're going to do our best to find a better fit for both.
That's no matter how old those children are.
No matter how old those children are.
If they're not happy there, they get a chance to go somewhere else.
They do. I mean, it has to be more than, she made me go to bed early, so I want to leave. I mean, it's got to be something more significant than that. But a lot of times kids are moved so that they can be with their sibling, or that they can be closer to the parents, so visitations can happen. So there are times when they're moved from one foster home to another. That's a good thing. It helps that family be able to reconnect more. We also have situations, can't lie about it, that where the child is at a level of trauma that requires a higher level of care than what our foster parents feel like they can provide. So we may end up moving them to, there's several levels of foster care. So we may move them to a therapeutic foster home, or they may end up inpatient if their psychiatric needs are at that level. So there are situations where that can happen.
Question, Ed, how did we get the name Vera May for this house?
Very
That's a good question. Skeeter, do we have time?
Yes, sir.
when we decided how to finance this project, there was an individual in Tulsa, his last name was Gumrick. He's connected with oil and gas. And he said he'd give $750,000 to be able to keep siblings together. We have money in the Oklahoma Methodist Foundation, our church does, that Vera May Eversole gave a large amount of that money, and that we can use that money on projects of this nature. I think we had 2 meetings, then we, Kurt, to decide whether to call it Vera May's house or Vera May's home. But we got it done, and Vera May, her foundation, her money in the foundation provided a significant amount of the funding.
So we're going to be looking for foster homes, foster parents for this home. We're also going to need to furnish the inside of the home, so there's going to be ways for the community and people to help donate funds or furniture. We're also going to be looking for alternative caregivers. So if the family needs to have a break for the weekend or needs somebody to watch the kids overnight so they can have a date night, we'll be needing that kind of care. So there's going to be still lots of ways other than just financial for people to get involved and help out. And Raquel and I will be the contacts for that phase of moving forward.
Amber, what's been the reaction from the neighborhood?
Overall positive.
Good.
So, and that was one of the reasons we went with this location, was just the community support around the home.
Any other questions? I think I speak for the group that we're very glad about this project. These are what the work we will do on a daily basis. It's 1,600 kids just blew me away.
Yeah, and that's just our
I know.
our Northwest region.
I
So
can't believe that's that number that high. So
yes.
thank you for what you're doing.
Yep.